What's up, everybody? This is Cassio with Cassio Logic, and have I got a video for you. So I just kind of want to talk about the SNES Classic. Nintendo just released a statement saying that they are going to up the production of the SNES Classic, and they're also going to re-release the NES Classic edition. Nintendo's kind of like learned their lesson, I suppose, and now they're putting a lot of these products into a larger mass production. I guess you would kind of think, you know, being a company for this long, that they would know to put more out there. I think I recall the same thing happening when the Nintendo Wii was first released, when everyone was trying to get their hands on a Nintendo Wii and you couldn't find them anywhere. They were always sold out and people were selling them online for double the price. Same thing happened with Nintendo Classics. Same thing happened with the Amiibos. And now the Nintendo Switch is another system that seems to be scarce, and like Nintendo hasn't put out a whole lot of production on it. And now they're gonna create and release the SNES Classic. I really hope everyone gets an opportunity to get their hands on this console, because there were so many people who missed out on the NES Classic, and so many people that overpaid for it, that were paying $200, $300 for an NES Classic because scalpers were buying up the products and selling them on eBay. So this is my thing about the SNES Classic. We got 30 games from the NES Classic. Pretty decent games also. The games are actually pretty good. But now the SNES Classic is only giving us 21. Not really sure what that's about. Now don't get me wrong, there's actually a very, very good list of games on the SNES Classic. There's Super Punch-Out, there's Mega Man X, there's Contra Alien Wars, Yoshi's Island, one of my favorite games of all time. There's Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, there's Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 depending on what region you're from. There's even Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There's a lot of really good games on the SNES Classic. But I still think that there are more games that really need to be on the SNES Classic in order for it to feel like a complete system. So this is basically my 9 games that I would add to the SNES Classic in order to make it 30, just like we got for the NES Classic. And these games are in order of what I think the importance of them being on the SNES Classic is. Number 9, NBA Jam. I feel like there's no reason why NBA Jam should not be, you know, in this list of games. NBA Jam was like a basic game that everyone had either on Sega Genesis or on Super Nintendo, depending on what system you had at home. Everyone had NBA Jam. It was really cool to be able to put the codes in, get Air Dog, you get the big heads and the small bodies, Bill Clinton, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a cool game and everyone had it. So I really think NBA Jam definitely holds a place, and it should be on the list of games that's in the SNES Classic. Number 8, Sunset Riders. Sunset Riders was a great game. It was about basically, you know, these cowboys. You had guns and you had, you know, one guy with a sombrero and everything, and you know, you would ride horses and all that, and like, it was like the Old West. I really enjoyed throughout the Super NES, and even in the arcade was great too. When it came to the home system, the Super Nintendo had a very, very good version of the game. Sunset Riders should be on the list of games for the SNES Classic. Number 7, Mortal Kombat 2. Now, I feel like I know what people are going to say about this, like, oh my god, it's too violent, there's no way they can put Mortal Kombat 2 on the SNES Classic, but I mean, come on. Mortal Kombat 2 is one of the best Mortal Kombat games ever made. You're going to put Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the SNES Classic, I think you might as well put Mortal Kombat 2 up there as well. So that's my choice for number 7, Mortal Kombat 2. Number 6, TMNT Turtles in Time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Turtles in Time game, was everyone's favorite arcade game. I remember going to like Chuck E. Cheese and just looking at a complete crowd of people crowding around this game. You could never get in and get your credit because the game was so much fun. The game came to Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, kind of got a different version. They got Hyperstone Heist. They didn't get Turtles in Time. But Turtles in Time was a cool game. And I think like with the, you know, the repopularization of the Ninja Turtles, like with the cartoon that's on Nickelodeon, with the movies and Michael Bay, there should definitely be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles title somewhere on the SNES Classic. Number 5, Ninja Warriors. Ninja Warriors was a game that I didn't think was too popular, but I thought it was great. I had so much fun playing Ninja Warriors. Ninja Warriors is one of my favorite games on the Super NES. It didn't have a whole lot of advertising behind it, which is why it's one of those games that a lot of folks didn't know about. But I think it's one of the treasures of the Super Nintendo. I believe that Ninja Warriors is a treasure. And I think if you're going to bring back the Super Nintendo to the SNES Classic, you know, you should definitely have this game, Ninja Warriors, included with it. If I was going to release the SNES Classic, I would definitely include this game in the lineup. Number 4, Joe and Mac. This is another game that I think is an absolute treasure that a lot of people did not know about. You know, it's a game about cavemen and they're fighting dinosaurs and things like that, and the game is a lot of fun. It's a 2-player game, side-scroller. It's such a cool game. It's a really, really good game. I never got a chance to beat it, but I always loved playing Joe and Mac. So Joe and Mac should definitely be included in the SNES Classic as well. Number 3, Super Double Dragon. Super Double Dragon definitely has a place, I think, in the Super Nintendo library. I think it earns a right to actually be on here. And it wasn't really one of the most popular versions of the game. There are some people who will swear that Super Double Dragon is absolutely the best Double Dragon there is. And I think that people now should be able to have access to this game. So Super Double Dragon should have absolutely been put on the SNES Classic. Number 2, Killer Instinct. Aside from Mortal Kombat 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo, the third fighting game that people were always playing on the Super Nintendo was Killer Instinct. I don't see a reason why Killer Instinct would not be on the list of games. It's one of the games that Nintendo is absolutely known for. The Super NES is really known for. You could not play the Killer Instinct game on the Sega Genesis because it was licensed by Nintendo. And I think it'd be really cool to kind of show people where the series started from, because now you have the latest Killer Instinct game. And I mean, from them, we've had Killer Instinct Gold, you know, we've had all the sequels of Killer Instinct, and the Super Nintendo was the originator of the first Killer Instinct. So Killer Instinct is my number 2 spot for another game that should be on the SNES Classic. So before I name the number 1 game that I think should be on the SNES Classic, I'm going to say a few honorable mentions. Super Mario All-Stars. Now, I teeter-tottered between having this game on the SNES Classic because I kind of figured, like, well, we kind of have all the Mario games, you know, already on the Nintendo Classic, so we don't really need them, like, you know, redone in the SNES Classic. But this game has the lost levels. You know, this game has levels that are not on the normal NES. If someone wasn't able to get their hands on an NES Classic, you know, you can get your hands on an SNES Classic, and you can have Super Mario All-Stars, and you can have their rendition of Mario 1, 2, and 3, and the lost levels. Super Mario All-Stars for honorable mention. The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Once again, these games are still very different from the Sega Genesis and the Super NES version. The Super NES version is a classic to the animated series. It's a really, really good game. Just, you know, by comparison and just the animation and everything, it's really good. The Adventures of Batman and Robin is definitely one that I choose. Maximum Carnage. Now, this might be asking a little bit too much because of all the licensing going on with Marvel games and Spider-Man and things like that. I gotta say, Maximum Carnage was one of the games I absolutely loved playing on the Super NES. Like, just being played as Spider-Man, being able to play as Venom, having the soundtrack and all that was really, really good, you know, on the Super Nintendo. So Maximum Carnage is another honorable mention. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Zombies Ate My Neighbors always makes, like, the top 20 list of best games on the Super NES. Every I don't know, top 50 or whatever, somewhere in that lineup is Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, different kind of a game, different kind of a setup, you know what I'm saying? And it's just one of the games that, like, helped define, I think, the Super Nintendo. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, definitely for honorable mention. Pilot Wings is one of the games that really wanted to show you what the Super NES could do. It did a lot of the zoom technology, you know what I'm saying, kind of really close to, like, first-person experiences, you know, landing planes, parachuting out of planes and things like that. You know, Pilot Wings is kind of like just one of those games that helped define the Super Nintendo. It should be a game that's up there anyway, you know, because it's Pilot Wings. So, Pilot Wings. Super Bomberman. There's a lot of people now that's never played Bomberman. It's classic Nintendo, and when they bought Super Bomberman, you know, it's another game, it's classic Nintendo, but it just kind of had that Super Nintendo feel behind it, and just kind of gave it that nice little edge, and it made it a great game and memorable. But it didn't make the top 9 in my list, so it gets an honorable mention. So the number 1 game that I think should be on the Super Nintendo SNES Classic is Chrono Trigger. So you have the RPG Secret of Mana, you even have Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6, but you don't have Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is arguably the best RPG ever created. And I recently played the game a few years back, and it still holds true to this day. It's a great game. And I feel like a lot of people are missing out on the genius that was Chrono Trigger. And it's like, you know, they don't make games like that anymore. And, you know, we're going retro. You know, we got the SNES Classic, you know, the NES Classic, you know, it did well. So, I mean, people love retro gaming. We love it. What better game to put on the SNES Classic but one of the best RPGs ever created? Chrono Trigger is the perfect game to put on the SNES Classic. But somehow, for some reason, it did not make it to the SNES game list. So yeah, that's my take on games that should have made it to the SNES Classic, along with some honorable mentions. I mean, I'm an old school gamer, you know, so you know I've played all these games, and I remember being very, very excited, you know, to play a new game on a Super Nintendo. I didn't own a Super Nintendo; I had a Sega Genesis, but I had friends that had Super Nintendos, and I would go over to their house and we'd play. And I mean, the first time I played Chrono Trigger, you know, it was a game that I started playing. I couldn't stop playing it. You know, the music was so good, and the intro was done so well, and it was just an interesting story. It pulled you in immediately. You know, it was great. It was really, really good. So I mean, the number 1 game I think should be on the Super Nintendo Classic is Chrono Trigger. I don't know if you agree with my list or not. I mean, if you don't, let me know in the comment section below. If you do, or if you have other games I might have forgotten about, please let me know in the comment section below. You know, wish everyone luck this September 29th. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Cassio Logic. This is Cassio with Cassio Logic, reminding you, don't believe the hype. Peace.
Cassio, 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 Cassio,